Hi everyone, welcome to my Thursday Night Live. Who else out there remembers that song? I'm pretty sure it was by Will Smith back in the 90s that went like tick, 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 boom. Yep. Who feels like that is their theme song? That's pretty much me. So yes, tonight we're going to be talking about being that time bomb, that easily triggered high stress person, exploding once, twice, 10 times a day, living in a really high stress mental space, having anxiety, going off at little things, sometimes going off at little things and kind of reverting back to being a 5-year-old child. Who has ever done that? Sometimes I feel like I can see outside myself when I'm losing my poo and I see myself and go, what are you doing? You're pretty more mature than you right now. So if you do jump on, feel free to join in the conversation. I am absolutely positive I'm not the only person in the world who feels completely stressed out and riddled with anxiety and like you just can't get your mental peace back. So yeah, you're more than welcome to jump in on the conversation and add in some opinions and thoughts and what you struggle with and things like that too. So hi everyone who's jumped on already. And now what I'm going to go through tonight is definitely for everyone. It's not exclusive to any particular person group, but I will be talking a lot to mums, I guess, just because I am one and I'm in that season still. And I speak to a lot of mums who are going through this, so I thought that's why this would be really relevant tonight as well. But you can replace anything I'm talking about motherhood, you can replace with work, you can replace with grandkids, you can replace with any other kinds of responsibilities in your life. So yeah, feel free to just take that element and substitute in whatever is relevant to you, but just definitely speak a little around that too. So having said that, I'll just say hello to a few people. Hi Sam and Karen and Stu and Kerry. Hi guys. And yeah, like I said, I know there's more people on, but I can't see your names, so hello to you guys too. I think just in speaking to mums really quickly, I know first off, I want to say I know that we just the way that we live at the moment, there's incredible mental overload for mums, lots of high exhaustion, anxiety and exhaustion, but that like tired but wired kind of thing that we have going on. And I know that I have often lived with that feeling of like impending explosion. Like I just know that the big bust is coming. And that feeling of always living inside your head, just being constantly on inside your head. So I just wanted to say straight up, if you're a mum and you're feeling like that, I totally get it. And I have been doing things over a long time to help myself with that. And that over the last few weeks, some of the routines I had put in place, and it's been very interesting seeing the difference in how I'm feeling day to day now. And then some things happened this week that I went, oh, okay, it's starting to come together again. And I thought, let's share around this because hopefully it will help you as well. So, so for years I've been trying to find a way. I think that having kids really triggered this for me because, stress exists in your life before kids, obviously, but I think kids are such a major stressor through the day. Like nobody pushes your buttons like your kids do, and they're just on all the time, which means you have to be on all the time. And because your life kind of revolves around them. And so it really kind of throws everything up in the air and you've got to figure out how it lands. And so this is something I've been working on for a long time for myself, but it was a little bit like putting a puzzle together, getting this and this and trying to figure this out and trying that and trying that. And then just last week, I was watching a really great webinar by a guy named Dr. Nima, and I got to see him at a conference. He's fantastic, following him on Instagram, and I watch his stuff all the time. And he talked about the correlation between this high anxiety, high stress state of living and those easy triggers that we have now and our nervous system. And it was kind of like the piece of the puzzle that I went, oh, okay, I'm starting to, that really put some things together for me that I hadn't put together before. And, like I said, for a few reasons, I dropped a lot of the rituals that I was doing that were helping me with my really trigger happy state that I am often in, where I'm existing in high stress and being, triggered by stuff all through the day. little things that shouldn't trigger anyone into a complete breakdown. But yeah, I started forgetting those rituals, and a few things that made me do that was just changes to our schedule with the kids and everything. But it was also things like I started to look at different things for myself. I started to unpack some different things for myself. And so that sudden feeling of, oh my gosh, I can do this stuff. Like no one's stopping me from doing this except myself. But then I'd look around and there was 4,000 things that took priority over me and what I needed to do. And I felt that frustration. And so I started to slip with certain things. And then school holidays happened and suddenly there were just kids in my face all the time. And yeah, there was a few little things like that. But dropping the routine that I had was the worst thing I could have done. It's the time that I should have been doing the routine the most. And I dropped it, and I've really felt the impact that has had. So I'm going to go through some of the things that we can do, but also why this is happening. So there's been such a huge cultural shift from how we were created to live, right? We all know about it takes a village to raise a child, but we don't live that way anymore. We live in our isolated little houses with our little nuclear family, and we don't have that massive community and village and that system of helps that we were designed to live in. And so we carry a massive amount of burden on ourselves individually, and we do more in one day than I think some of our ancestors going back not very long would have done in a week or a month. Like we are cramming so much into every day, and we're carrying all of that mental burden all the time. So we have to be really aware that we're just not living the way that we always used to live. And that's the way that it is now. And it does mean that we have to adapt. And you'll hear me talk about that a lot. Like stuff's changed a lot, and we just have to adapt in different ways so that we can thrive, not just survive and get by, but actually thrive in this new world where stuff is a little bit different. And Dr. Nima was saying in this webinar, he was saying that something like 70% of people in our modern westernized world, we have anxiety, like proper actual anxiety. And I know a few years ago, I ended up in hospital because I had a panic attack, like an actual anxiety attack where I couldn't breathe, my throat closed up, and I couldn't take a breath into my lungs for a week. And my doctor eventually went, some scans done. We need to make sure that your throat is not actually closing up, and that's become normal for us now. 70% of people feeling like that. That's the modern way that we are. So stuff has to change, and things don't change unless we change them. So there's it's about recognizing those patterns of behavior, that ticking time bomb syndrome that we currently have. So okay, the reason the nervous system plays a role in all of this is because when we're living in that place where we are really highly anxious and operating at 1,000,000 miles an hour and carrying a massive burden, is that our body starts to live off adrenaline. So adrenaline is something that we're only supposed to have every now and then. Like it's that fight or flight response, right? It's when your toddler is about to fall off something and you develop superhuman speed and you go and catch them. If you've ever seen that YouTube video of the montage of the dads all catching their kids and whatever, and it's like lightning fast, that's what adrenaline is there for. It's meant to be really quick and only used for emergencies. And instead, we live in where our body is constantly firing off adrenaline. And what happens from that is there's two things. The first one is that we ultimately reach a point of burnout, which is what we call adrenal fatigue or adrenal burnout. And I see that in mums more often than not. I had it. I still have to be really aware of what I'm capable of doing because I'm still recovering from adrenal burnout from 5 years ago. Because that's how we now are. We're constantly living in this fight or flight. So rather than being very calm and then having adrenaline, we're now living in constant adrenaline. Eventually your body just actually cannot, your adrenal gland cannot produce cortisol correctly. It cannot produce adrenaline correctly. And so we burn out, we get really exhausted, and we have a whole range of other symptoms. And the other thing that happens is that we have a constantly wired nervous system. So your nervous system is not supposed to be in mega anxiety mode all the time. So we're putting our nervous system into a state where it's just constantly wired. And that has a whole big knock-on effect to all of these other things in our life. Like it affects our sleep. It affects our ability to concentrate and be present in the moment, always off in your own mind. It even manifests in our health in terms of mostly digestive issues, which is really interesting. I think there's a really big link between your nervous system and digestion. IBS, headaches, things like that. They're all manifestations of the nervous system and the stress that our nervous system is under. Hi to everyone else who's jumped on. Hi, Kerry Lee and Mike and Claire and Georgie. Feel free to throw anything in there that you want to add in there. If you have anything to chuck in, just chuck it in. We'll go through it. So I have a couple of little examples I can give you. This morning I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I can only describe it as I woke up in just blind panic, like just panic in my mind, thinking about these people I had to get back to, I had my work at home, and just the list of things going through my head. I was actually panicking. I said to my husband, it's like I was vibrating in bed from just sheer anxiety. And that was 4 o'clock in the morning. And I had actually set my alarm for 5:30 to get up and go for a walk and give myself some space, because I knew that I really needed that. And then I was stressing about my alarm going off at 5:30. So at 5:15, I turned it off. And then I think I fell asleep at 6, and my kids came in at 6:30. But it was that feeling of I was so tired that I couldn't get up, because I kept saying to myself, just get up and do something. At least then maybe you won't feel so anxious. But I was so tired, I couldn't keep my eyes open. I couldn't even read a book or anything to try to calm down. I was so tired, but I couldn't turn my brain off at all. So I just lay there stressing for 2 hours while my body's firing off loads of adrenaline, which probably explains why I've been so tired all day today. So that's one thing. And yeah, not being present in the moment, like, oh man, if you can relate to this, please give me a like. I have had so many times, even today, always. And after a couple of minutes, my oldest son said, let's go. She's not listening. And I wasn't. I was looking at them, and my brain was going through the 1,000 things I had to do this afternoon. Like, I was not present. And then yesterday, I had the 3 kids, and we went off to hi, the last few people who've jumped on, Leanne and Abby and Pete. And then we went to Bunnings and to get a few things, and they had a face painted there, and my 4-year-old absolutely loves getting her face painted. So we said, okay, we'll stick around a little bit. You can get that done. And she got this beautiful rainbow with a little bunny rabbit. It was super cute. And I said to her, it's fine, but just know that we will have to wipe that off before your swimming lesson this afternoon. She's like, okay, Mummy, that's fine. And then we got home, and I did all sorts of stuff. And then I said to them, look, kids, I really just need 30 minutes to try to get some work done. I've got to get some of these emails out and things like that. And then I got to like 3 o'clock or something, and I said, okay, kids, we've got to get ready for swimming. Go and get your stuff. I was feeling really anxious because I still had to run time. Don't faff around, just go get your stuff. I was already getting, really stressed. They'd been interrupting me the whole time I was trying to get work done. And then I noticed my 4-year-old coming out with this massive mirror, and she like props it up against the table. And I was so not present. I didn't even question why she was doing that. I was just existing in my stress, trying to get this thing done. And I just kind of looked at her and smiled and just kept going. And then a few minutes later, she's kind of waving this thing in my face and going, Mummy, 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 Mummy. And I lost it. And I said, just, can you stop, please? I just need to get this done. Can you please stop? Just leave me alone. 1 more minute. That's all I need, 1 more minute. But I was really anxious. I was so stressed. I could feel the adrenaline going through my body because I was running out of time. And it wasn't until so much later, I'm talking like that night, 9, 10 o'clock at night, that I realized that she had brought out that mirror, and she had gotten a wad of paper towels and wet them, and she had stood in front of that mirror and wiped off her beautiful face because she knew that we went swimming. And she was asking me to help her get the last few bits off her face. And I was so wrapped up in my own world of stress, in my own adrenaline-fueled craziness, that I did not even recognize how amazing my daughter was being in that moment. And instead of praising her and loving her, I berated her, I yelled at her. And there are so many other ways I could have handled that. I know that I was stressed, but I didn't need to speak to her like that. I could have said, okay, honey, that's awesome. Thank you so much. You're amazing. Can you give Mummy 1 more minute to send this, and then I'll help you get those last bits off. There were 2 ways to handle that, and I handled it with a time bomb instead of handling it with love and out of peace. That was my thing that was going to explode in that moment, because I wasn't doing the things that allowed me to come speak to my children and operate out of what we have to get done in a day, out of a really stable and steady nervous system. Okay, now I'm putting myself on the line here. Someone just gave me an angry face. I'm really sorry if that offends you, that I'm human, but that's how it is. And I bet there's not a mother in the world who will tell you that they haven't lost their poo at their kids sometimes. But there are things that we can do to stop that from happening, okay? And the reason this has happened to me lately is because I stopped doing the things that were helping me to keep control of that. So let's go through those things now. All right, it comes down to, hi Alison, hi Abby. If I said hi Abby, hi Kelly and Lean and Jenny. So nice to see you guys. Thanks for the love heart, Abby. Yes, I did need some love. And I will say I did go into my daughter this morning and give her a huge big cuddle and make it right. And it was so funny because she said to me, not just you shouldn't get angry. I was like, I know, baby, I know mommy's going to get better. But, you know, we all have our little seasons. And I think it's good sometimes to see the difference, you know. It's the same when you're eating really healthy and looking after yourself. And if you fall off the wagon, it gives you a way of comparing how you felt before and how you felt after. And I've seen myself in the last couple of months, couple of weeks, be the mum who has not been doing the things that allow me to stay calm and operate in peace rather than out of that stress and anxiety. So it's good sometimes to be able to see that. All right. So what it comes back to is daily rituals and habits. And my daily habit was to get up early. So I'd get up at 5:30, go for a walk, listen to a podcast or an audiobook, some kind of personal development, something that is allowing your mind to grow and plant seeds and then reap those seeds later and change and learn and expand our mind and our thinking and get more good into our mind. Sometimes we get stress that we actually get really blocked, and having other people speak into us through podcasts and audiobooks is really awesome. Journaling is another great thing. I do that sometimes when I finish my walk. So there's a few different ideas there. If you have kids that get up at 4:30 in the morning, that's probably not going to work for you, and that's okay. Yeah, so I'm not saying that you should then get up at 3 o'clock. That's not realistic. But think about how you can do it in your day. If your kids have a nap, can you set aside 20 minutes to do something for yourself that's inputting into you, that's journaling, that's giving you that calm down time, that time to replenish yourself? Find a way. Don't just sort of go, oh, that doesn't work for me, because it does. Like, it works in every season. You've just got to find a way that makes it work for you. Someone was saying today that they go to a gym and they pop their kids into the creche at gym, and that's an hour of their day that they get a few times a week where it's just for them, and they get to use their body and exercise. And what it does is they're just like de-stress and detox from their stress is amazing. That works perfectly for them. We are so blessed to live in a way right now where we have incredible cafes that are really kid friendly. There are loads of churches that have awesome kids facilities and great coffee shops. Meet a friend there, or just go there and chuck your kid in there and, you know, sit and do nothing for 30 minutes. That is okay. I think we have fallen into a real trap where we tend to think that our value is based on how much we are doing and how much we are serving. I know I've had days where I think I have to get all this stuff done just to show people that I'm doing something, that I'm not just this useless mother who's getting nothing accomplished. But it's actually okay to do absolutely nothing, because you need that so much. You can't operate out of strength and love and positivity if you're never, ever, ever putting that into yourself. Brene Brown, if you've never listened to her, she's fantastic, and she can only love yourself. So if you're not giving yourself any time to replenish and get all of this stuff back in you, then you're not going to be able to love the people around you. That's not serving anyone, least of all yourself. And I think it's a real trap we've fallen into, that mums tend to think, or there's some sort of like emotional or societal brainwashing that mums need to like lay down like doormats and serve everybody else first, and then 20 years later when all your kids are grown up, you can pop back up and be yourself again. Like, that's rubbish. That's so silly. This is the time when mums need to be taking care of themselves so much in order to be able to take care of others as well. You know, like, self-care and self-love is never selfish. Putting into yourself is your way of putting back into others. We need to really change our thinking around that. Okay, I've gone off on a total tangent. Being intentional about that time each day. Like, you have to do that for yourself. You have to make the decision to do it. It won't you won't just suddenly find time. If you say, I don't have time in a day, I've got 3 kids and they're little and they're annoying. Well, time ever. You've got to make the time. You've got to find a way that works for you. Have you got a support network? Have you got other mums that you can figure something out with? Like, you've got to do this for you and only you can make it happen. So don't lie on an excuse of, I can't because I don't have time. I can't accept that excuse, because that would mean that nothing will ever change for you. So don't accept that. Find a way. I'm positive you can find it. A really huge one is breathing. I didn't realize until a few days ago, I realized that I've been breathing really shallow breaths into my chest. And when we breathe, we're actually supposed to take these really nice deep breaths into our tummy and then kind of just like, just release the breath out. And instead we tend to like breathe really shallow and just like, because that's what you do when you're operating on adrenaline. You know, like if you have a near miss in a car accident, you know, sort of scenario, you don't have one, but if you have a near miss, like you breathe really fast and your body goes like that. Like if we're doing that all the time, we're not oxygenating our body, and there's massive knock-on effects from that for our health as well. Proper breathing is massive. Just when you feel that eruption coming, when you know that you're about to lose your marbles. I had a perfect example of this actually the other day. I was standing in the kitchen and I was thinking about the things I had to do. And as I was thinking through this list, it just kept getting bigger and bigger, you know, like, oh, I've got to go get some groceries. Oh my gosh, but I haven't even done a meal plan. Oh my gosh, I haven't even figured out what's in the fridge. But what about that thing I've got to do the next night? And then I've got to do, oh my gosh, that means I've got to make a plan for a meal that's going to fit like that thing and that thing and that time, and make one that's and then there was like, I've got to call that person and do that thing. Oh my gosh. And I could feel the spiral. It's not a downward spiral, it's an upward spiral. And if you've felt this, you know what I mean, where you can feel the adrenaline and you're going, oh my gosh, I can't get all this stuff done. And then I forced myself, I put my hands on the table and I said, okay, just stop. Stop, just breathe, take a breath. Okay, none of these things are an emergency. There is no emergency. No one is going to die if you don't get all the shopping done perfectly. No one is going to die if you don't do that. Like, just a step back and take those deep breaths and realize, stop. This is not an emergency. And in the end, you know what we did? We went to Aldi, we grabbed a few things. Who cares? I didn't even look in the fridge. I did the important things. Everything was fine. That situation did not require me to go into a massive stress cycle. But again, this is all happening because I haven't been taking the time for myself every day. And you know, if you're living in this state, this is what it's from. If you missed the start, I was saying that when we live in this adrenaline state, our nervous system responds by these triggers. You will trigger so fast. Your kids will do something completely innocuous and you'll lose your marbles. That's a sign that you are living with a nervous system that is not slow and calm. You're living in an adrenaline-fueled nervous system, and you've got to do some stuff to start calming down your nervous system. So these are things that I've suggested. Get up early if you can. Have that time for yourself. I promise you, if you can start, like I'm got these at 6:30 at the earliest. That's the earliest they're allowed to get up. So that gives me, you know, if I get up at 5:30, that gives me an hour to an hour and a half in the morning to do stuff for myself. And I promise you, if you can do that, you will never get out of the habit. Like, you will realize how much you need that and how much it is replenishing you and fueling you through the day. I guarantee it. If you commit to doing it, just say, I'm going to do this for a month. I promise you, you will feel like a different person, and you will not be so trigger happy. You won't snap so quickly. You will feel so much better. I promise. Like, I know that because I've been there and I've done it. I've done it and felt the benefits, and I've not done it and felt the non-benefits. I just went back to my old ways again. Yeah, so I think that's about it. So yeah, realigning your nervous system basically is what we're trying to do here, getting out of that fight or flight constant way of living and just getting back to some more calm. Because when we focus on doing that, and again, that is not like on that will flow out to your whole family. I know that there are days when I have been in that stress, and it just changes the whole household. Like, I'm sure my husband comes home and is just like, okay, what's she going to explode about now? That's not how it should be, you know. So I'm definitely going to get back into having that time again in the morning to myself. Exercise is so important if you can get your body moving. And actually I talk a lot about things to do in the morning, and one of them is to get out in the sun. That really helps to get your circadian rhythm going again. The sunshine resets a lot of stuff in our body. So if you've got adrenal burnout, one of the best things you can do is get up in the morning, have a massive drink of water to rehydrate, go stand in the sun. If you can go for a walk in the sun, that's even better. If you can go for a walk in the sun and listen to something that's really putting back into you, that's even better. If you can journal out how you're feeling, that's awesome. Whatever it is for you, going to the gym, going to the park or playground with other mums, whatever it takes, put yourself first in that area so that you can be more as well, actually taking from a very depleted person because you can't give out of an empty cup. Is that what it is? I can't remember the saying is now. Luana said, thanks, Pauline, great tips. Yes, you're a mummy too, Luana. I know that you understand. Alison said, I can so relate to you tonight. I have so much I can input from what I've worked through in the last 12 months. Yeah, absolutely, Alison. I know you've got a massive story around that too. Yeah, so that's it from me. I hope that made some sense. I know I probably went rambling on a little bit on some different tangents, but I hope some of that made sense. And if you want to have a chat, just let me know and we can go through it. If you need some more dot points to make it a bit more clear what I'm talking about, that's fine too. A really great book to read is Hal Elrond, I think his name is, Miracle Morning. That's really great too. He takes you through 6 things you can do in the morning in 60 minutes that will just like revolutionize your day. And that is fantastic too. So that's a resource to look into. Brene Brown is fantastic for mums because she talks a lot about shame and guilt. And mums have shame and guilt. Like me with my daughter yesterday. So yes, so she's a great resource too. So, and Dr. Nima is fantastic. If you find him on Instagram, he shares a lot of really great stuff too. So, all right, thanks everybody. Thanks, Abby. Big hug to you too. And I will see you out there online. Okay, bye.